A few years ago, I went on a hike at Runyon Canyon, and I was at this part where you're going up these kind of like awkward, steep steps, and I went up and I saw something that looked kind of odd on the ground. So I looked at it a little closer, and it looked like a human finger. And I stopped, and I thought, okay, that can't be, but the more I looked at it, the more it looked like a finger. And I dripped a little water on it from my bottle, which revealed little wrinkles where a knuckle would be, and a nail bed, and what looked like dark red blood, and it was all kind of a whitish yellow blue color. And this was before I had a smartphone, so I called my boyfriend at the time, and I asked him to look up the non-emergency police line and send it to me. And I called and told the dispatcher, I'm on a hike, and I think I found a finger. And I tried to describe where I was. She kept asking what intersection I was in, and I was telling her I'm on a trail, and I don't know, and I'm sure I did a horrible job of trying to explain where I was. And she was frustrated, and I was frustrated with myself, but she put me on hold and told me that officers were on their way and not to touch it and just to stay put. So I sat on this step, and I guarded this finger. Hikers came by, kind of like giving me side eye, like why did I set up camp on this narrow step on the path? And I just casually pretended to enjoy the day, like beautiful day, everything's normal, as I guarded this finger from hikers and dogs. And my imagination went wild. Whose finger was this? Best case scenario, there is someone out there missing a finger, but otherwise they're doing great. More likely, is there more of this person to be found? And who were they? Was it a hiker, or was this like a mafia thing? And is there someone out there wondering and hoping, and is my finding this finger going to lead to them getting a phone call that they've dreaded and had nightmares about? And all of these thoughts and more were spiraling in my brain as I sat with this finger on hold for close to 3 hours. The dispatcher came back a couple of times to check in and try to get more information about where I was. And eventually she came back and said, okay, there are officers there, but they can't find you. And I said, I haven't moved, but I don't see anyone. And I looked around, and I could see on a peak far in the distance on a different trail what looked like police officers. So at this point she said, okay, we're going to send a helicopter, which just seemed too big and insane. But she asked me to describe what I was wearing, which I still remember. I was wearing a blue Iron Man t-shirt I got for free at Comic-Con and gray sweatpants. And she said, when you see it, stand up and wave your arms in the air. So pretty quickly, there was a helicopter circling above me, and I stood up and I was waving my arms in the air. And at this point, more and more hikers were like, hey, what's up? Like, are you okay? Are you hurt? What's going on? And I said, I'm fine, as I waved my arms at the helicopter. And I remember this one guy wouldn't let up, and I was like, no, I'm good, I'm really fine. I think I found something. And I remember he made this like eek face. He was like, ooh, it's like that. Okay. And he like went on his way. So soon after the helicopter found me, I heard police cars driving as far as they could onto the trail, and then 4 officers were jogging toward me. And it was such a relief. Finally, they were going to take over, and I wouldn't have to sit with this finger anymore. At this point, it had been like 4 hours of relative silence sitting with this human finger. So they ran toward me, I pointed it out, and one of the officers put on gloves, and she took out a bag. And she picked up the finger and looked at it. They all looked at it, and she said, yeah, this is the finger. You did the right thing. Thanks for calling. She put it in the bag, and I was about to go on my way. And one of the other officers said, hold on, let me look at it again. He put on gloves. He took it out of the bag and held it really close to his face. And then he rubbed his thumb along the bottom of it, which made me feel sick. And he picked at it a little more aggressively, and he said, this is a branch. And we all looked at the finger, And it was, in fact, a piece of branch. And I was mortified. I apologized up and down for wasting their time. I felt crazy. And they said, no, you did the right thing. We find stuff out here all the time, which did not make me feel better. And they all thought it was a finger, and one of the officers said, hey, do you want to keep it? And in retrospect, I really wish I had. But to me, this piece of branch was a finger, and I couldn't look at it anymore. And he was about to throw it back on the ground, and one of the officers said, don't throw it back. It looks like a finger. Someone could call again. And I'm not adding that for embellishment to make me seem not crazy. She said that. So I thanked them again, and I ran up the trail, and a group of hikers had formed at the top of the trail by the police cars, speculating about what was going on, and I just ran past them, and I went home. And I think I told my brother and my parents this story, and literally no one else for years, because I was just embarrassed and kind of traumatized. But as crazy as this story makes me feel, I am so glad it was a branch and not someone's finger.